we're going to start right on time because we've got all kinds of great stuff to cover.
Well, I think this is the first session after plenary that I've ever seen so many people. So usually this is the worst room to give a talk in.
So Jeremy had the idea to kind of help everybody out for this DevSummit because there's more than 50 sessions just on web. So what we did is get a lot of the presenters up here to just give a 1-minute talk about what they're going to cover, so you can kind of get a feel for what the session will be all about.
Yeah, and we listened to your feedback from years past. It doesn't do a lot of good if the prerequisite comes after this session that you're going to. So Julie's done a really good job here of organizing. We have nearly like 50 or so web-based sessions and organizing them so that they don't overlap, they sort of go sequentially. To do that, there's very little repeats. So you really want to plan your week well so that you don't miss any important sessions.
Yeah. Okay, and then at the end of the session, we put together like a couple different like possible pathways if you're really interested in just coming up to speed on the API versus like a deep dive in 3D, or maybe you're interested in like covering all the different ways to build your UI. So we'll go into that too. So just let's get started.
We're proud to be joined by this amazing group of people. Most of these people are on the development team, or they're out there working in professional services, or working on the EDN team. So this is a strong group of people. The sessions are going to be amazing, very technical, and you should really learn a lot. So it's exciting for you guys to see what you learn this week.
Yeah. All right, so I think that's a good enough welcome. Let's just jump right into our lightning talk. So I'm going to give everybody 1 minute. If they go over a minute, I'm going to probably embarrass them in some way. I'm not sure how yet, but we'll see. Okay, so first up is JC Franco. Which one? Either one.
Okay, so for this session, we're going to explore an application and how we integrated the JavaScript API in an existing Bootstrap with a jQuery page, as well as the opposite way around, how to bring in a jQuery to leverage view models for the widgets and create the custom views for them. Oh, this one's on, well, it's on the...
Yeah, so all of the slides will have the times on there, so you can see when it is. And it's in the agenda.
All right, so I'm wondering if this session is actually a contender for the longest session title, so I'm not even going to spell it out. It's about the point clouds that you may have seen in the plenary this morning, and in addition also about integrated meshes. Sean's going to be there, and he's going to tell you where you can get the data from, how you can get it into the platform, process it, and publish it. And then I'm going to talk about and also demonstrate how you can manipulate it with the JavaScript API. Essentially, the demos that you've seen this morning, like what's the code behind it, how does it work? And then the next one is a very short title. This is about also something I showed in the plenary this morning, the Dubai Smart City application. Again, same thing. This is about how did we do it, like what kind of data do you need, what kind of problems can you solve with Pascal is going to be there and talk about, like why would you make such an app. And I'm going to talk to you about how do you use the scene layers to actually make that happen.
Perfect. In this session, I will talk about how you modify and configure the environment in 3D scenes in the JavaScript API, which basically allows you to influence how your data is visualized and presented. I'll talk about influencing the atmosphere, sun, date and time, the stars. I'll also have a quick look at how you can work with the trade-off between performance and quality. And at the very end, there will be a small sneak peek at current work in progress for future visualization options, specifically functional and non-realistic lighting. Yeah, and this more general session here, also on Thursday, will give you a general overview and dive into working with the JavaScript API in 3D. We'll start with a look at the camera setup, how you navigate the scene, followed up by an overview of what layer types are available and how they're visualized. We'll look at symbology, and we'll also look at the web scene, the file format for all of this. Thanks.
Okay. Working in 3D?
Yeah, a lot of talking, not showing the slides. So, general features. We'll look at web scenes with city meshes. We'll look at integrated meshes, which we reconstruct like from imagery from many perspectives. We'll also look at the aforementioned point cloud layers. And yeah, that's it now.
That's Adrian. He's from our Zurich R&D office. Controlling camera, I guess.
All right. So I'm just going to do a speed run of my whole presentation in 1 minute. So this is about controlling the camera and 3D navigation. So we're going to look at extent compatibility. So this is like map view has an extent. This is a 2D concept. How does it work in 3D? What does it mean scale and center in 3D? What are the complications? What do you need to look for? Simple camera animations like doing heading and tilt using our GoTo API. There's also continuous animation, so how can you implement this? Maybe have look around style of animations and interaction, querying graphics and then framing them and highlighting them. Also clicking, so hit testing a graphic and then how you can frame them. What are the animation options, stuff like this. These are animation options that we added, so there's a new animation settings that you can use, and we'll go through how to use them, what you can customize, things like speed, easing, stuff like that. And then finally, we'll look at custom interactive navigation, how you can implement your own kind of navigation styles, and things like interactively going around a path in the scene. My second demo theater is about extending the ArcGIS API for the 3D engine. So we'll be looking at what the coordinate system is of our rendering system, how you have to know that for rendering external things. How do we do the camera, how you can do your own lighting based on the sun settings that we have. How you can deal with precision issues, which is a real thing that you really have to care about. So if you look here, you see these cubes flickering. The solution for that, I will explain this, and then if you do that, then they don't flicker anymore. 3GS integration, so custom animations. This is about animating or authoring animations in Blender, exporting them to Collada and importing them in the scene and applying them, animating them in real time. And then I will also talk about how you can add other things like 3GS, use 3GS to add textures that are videos. For example, Esri branding on the Statue of Liberty. And I will also talk about this, you might have seen in the plenary, how to implement this as an external renderer with the JS API.
It's amazing. That's yesterday also from the Zurich office.
Hello, Matt Driscoll, work at Esri. Thanks, Jeremy. I'm on the JavaScript API team, and I focus on widgets. So in this session, we're going to be talking about how to customize widgets and how widgets are set up into views and view models. We'll cover how you can recreate a view using our widget base. And then we'll talk about how you can recreate a view using just vanilla JavaScript or a framework of your choice. Then we'll also go into theming widgets. All our widgets have a number of themes that you guys can use out of the box, but we'll cover how you can use Sass and create additional themes with our widgets. And then we'll just go over some tips and tricks as well.
My name is Lloyd Heberly. I'm a product engineer on the JavaScript team. And Andy Gupp.
I'm with the developer outreach team.
Go for it.
And attend this session if you want to learn how to use the JavaScript API in mobile apps. We're going to look at different patterns for building the UI within a mobile app. We're going to look at different ways to integrate the application at a very high level in Cordova and PhoneGap and hybrid environments, as well as look at some performance aspects. It's much different to build an app for a mobile browser than it is for a desktop browser.
We'll also be covering some responsive design techniques. So you'll learn from some of the stuff that we've worked on with building our SDK, and then some other projects that we have going on that maybe it'll get you started, ahead of the game instead of starting from scratch when it comes to targeting multiple viewports.
Good one. I think we're good.
And then this session I'll be doing with Dave Bayer, who works for Esri UK. This sort of spawned from a research project for a customer engagement or a professional services engagement, where we will kind of take you through some of the lessons learned with using Apache Cordova and also the Ionic framework, which also leverages Apache Cordova, and then some of the things that we've learned that'll help you get started more quickly, and then finally how to integrate the JavaScript API in an offline environment with sort of interacting or hooking into the runtime environment. So this will be a pretty interesting session that hasn't been presented before, and for any of you that are leveraging and reusing your web skills and trying to take that offline, this would be a good session for you to attend.
I'm really excited to see that particular session. It's going to be a good one. Okay, Angular.
Hey, I'm Jacob, and I guess you were just introduced to Andy, but we'll be talking about Angular. Is it better? We'll be talking
Angular.
about all things Angular. So you've got a whole day and a half to get pumped and excited about that. So if you're an Angular developer or thinking about using it, or even using other large frameworks, come on down. We'll be talking about Angular 1 and how to use it with the JS API, and
we'll be talking about Angular 2 as well as Ionic for anybody doing mobile development. We'll be riffing on Ionic a little bit, and also it's a must-attend session if you're doing any Angular development work. We're going to talk about a number of different patterns, a number of different coding patterns that you can use in order to integrate with this environment. So it's pretty exciting stuff. Hope to see you there.
thanks.
Okay, let's see. Who have we got next? Production build and deployment. So Randy and George.
Hi, I'm Randy Jones. I work in our professional services division out of our DC office.
I'm George Bohenek. I'm in the same place as him.
So in this session, we're going to be talking about taking your application that you've developed and getting it ready for production. We'll be talking about best practices to do with your website, your content delivery. Jeremy highlighted a very good thing that we're now doing at the API level. And we'll be talking about similar things to that content delivery network that he was talking about. In addition to that, we'll be talking about then taking your JavaScript code and building it so that it's obfuscated, compacted for good delivery to your users. We'll be talking about both custom applications and web app builder applications so that you can optimize those custom web app builder applications that you're either downloading out of ArcGIS Online or Portal or the developer edition, and then hosting it yourself. So these are all great ways to optimize those. And it would apply to the mobile applications. So really any JavaScript development that you're doing, this will be a great session to attend.
Yeah, I mean, really any web development you're doing, whether it has a map or not, honestly.
Yeah, and then we'll round it up by talking a little bit about continuous integration and how to take that pipeline from source code to deployment as well.
All right. So the other session we're going to be doing, it's on the same day, and we're hoping to talk to you about why testing is important and how it's going to end up saving you time and money and shouldn't just be thought of as an add-on. As developers, we're really good at writing code that's really hard to test. So we're going to try to fix that in this one. I'll be doing another session tomorrow on Web App Builder. And this one's going to kind of pick up where some of those customizing widgets and extending the Web App Builder sessions leave off. We're going to be talking about some of the techniques and toolkits that are out there to make the actual development environment easier. and to get your pipeline workflows more well thought out, your development shops running widget development smoothly, and then pushing those apps to production after we're done.
Thanks, guys. Okay, building webs to integrate with your portal. Who is Heather?
Hi, Heather Gonzago, PE on the JavaScript team. I'm going to be doing this session with my colleague Bjorn, who's currently working the showcase. But basically, we're going to be talking about the benefits of working with Portal or ArcGIS Online directly within your standalone web applications. So, for example, adding in web maps, web scenes, everything's basically configured already for you. You've already have it saved out. Just how easy it actually is to bring it on into your web application. I think you actually probably may have even seen quite a few demos this morning with the plenary showing that as well. We'll also talk a little bit about working with like public data, but also if you have private data out, whether it's in Portal or ArcGIS Online, and how you can use that within your web applications, whether it's using like a named user approach or just having that having your application handle that for you through like a proxy. So, anything else? No? No? All right. Do I have another one?
Yeah, that's you.
Yeah, okay. Do you want to come up with me on this one? Okay, introduce yourself.
I'm Kelly Hutchins. I work with the JavaScript API and also in the ArcGIS Online with configurable apps.
So we actually, this is kind of new. I don't think we had anything like this last year. It is new? Yeah. We did this for a couple years. Kelly and I did this for a couple years at the user conference. But a lot of times we would have people that would just say, you know, that's great. You're telling us about, you know, feature layers and symbology and rendering and whatever, all this stuff in the API. But we actually want to see you, you know, especially if you're brand new, we want to see you create something from scratch. So what we basically did was take something like brand spanking new application, nothing in it, adding a map, adding some layers, adding some symbology, and then just basically building it up step by step by step. So that's what we're going to do in this particular session. Yeah. Yes, you.
So we're also going to present tips and tricks for developing and debugging apps. This would be a great session to come to if you're new to JavaScript development or working with the JavaScript API. We'll talk a little bit about choosing and setting up an IDE, some plugins that you might want to add. We'll go through some common gotchas, so mistakes we see people making over and over and over again. And then finally, we'll look at how you can use the developer tools available through the browsers to find and fix problems in your applications. And then right after this, well, I think a half hour after this, at 2:30, we have a session on making pop-ups. So we'll talk about how you can populate the content inside of a pop-up, so you can add images and charts and text and tables. And then we'll also talk about customizing the appearance of a pop-up a little bit, so making it look a little different than it does out of the box.
We're focusing on monsters.
Yes.
This, if you can't tell. So yes, that goes to your monster.
Cryptids, if you want to be technical.
Cryptids, yes. All right, cool. And that's you.
And so accessible web mapping apps I'm doing with my colleague Tao, who will be here tomorrow but could not be here today. This is the session to come to if you want to learn how to make your map or your app more accessible by more people in more places. So we'll talk about words you might have heard like WCAG or 508 or ARIA and what they mean and how you can use them to make your apps compliant. So if any of those terms, you've heard them, you probably want to come to the session.
Hi, I'm JC Franco. I work with the JavaScript API team. And in this session, we'll be covering the out-of-the-box features that you can leverage in your web applications to kind of get you started in creating your, making your app be responsive, just using out-of-the-box features. There's going to be a lot of dogs.
Cute dogs.
Anything else? No?
I think that's good.
Okay. So Kristian deserves an introduction. He has 11 sessions at DevSummit, so he's going to be talking for a little while. He's a product engineer on the JavaScript API team and does lots of visualization and geometry engine stuff. And anyway, okay, take it off.
All right. As Julie said, I tend to focus a lot on the visualization side of the API, and so you'll see a lot of visualization sessions that I have my fingers in. So to start off, we have a 2D visualization session this Thursday. Jeremy and myself will be talking about all of the different kinds of visualizations you can make with the API, and you can make really simple ones, or you can make pretty complex one using expressions and multiple variables. So we're going to cover as many use cases as we can, and also demonstrate how you can tell stories through these visualizations.
The visualizations that we do in this session, those are really the heart of all the smart mapping work that we have in online, and then eventually in the scene viewer. So this is an exciting session to go to, I think.
So also on Thursday, Russ Roberts and myself will be presenting on how you can build a basic 3D app. And so this is a practical guide where we start from the very beginning with your data. How do you create the 3D data? Russ is going to go over how you create it and then publish it and host it on ArcGIS Online or to your portal. And then I'll go over how do you load that layer or that web scene into a custom app. And then we show you some of the customizations you can do with your data there. So really this session is all about building an app. You're going to see the progression that we go through in building a 3D app. So if you're interested in getting started with building 3D apps, I really encourage you to attend this one. And this one is pretty related to that. Russ and I are also going to be talking more specifically about the data. So Russ is going to focus on how you can publish data from ArcGIS Pro, and he'll do it with this New York data set, which contains over 1 million buildings. And he'll publish that, host it in ArcGIS Online, and then again, I'll load that into a JavaScript application and show you how you can create a visualization with color and opacity that's driven by the data. So a lot of what these visualization sessions cover is how the data, you can let the data speak for itself. A lot of what GIS aims to do is to communicate stories and patterns, and one of the most effective ways to do that is through data-driven visualizations. So on Wednesday, Jeremy, Joe, and myself will be talking about 3D visualization. So it's going to be similar to the 2D visualization session, but with a 3D lens, so to speak. We're going to go over the different object symbols that you have available to you within the API. We're going to go over the new web styles and the realistic 3D symbols available. And again, showing you how to create these beautiful 3D visualizations that can communicate stories from a new point of view.
You said it well, Kristian.
Okay. So we also have 2 sessions on Arcade. This is actually the second session. This is the longer one. If you can only make one session and you're able to go Thursday night, it's a little late, but I really encourage you to go to this one. Arcade is something that I'm particularly excited about because of the visualization opportunities that you have available to you, but it's a very powerful new scripting language that we developed here at Esri for the ArcGIS platform. Something that we're going to answer a lot of questions that we've received from you guys about Arcade, such as, why did you invest so much time in developing your own programming language? Why not use what's already there? Questions like, why do you call it Arcade? That's kind of a weird name. Other questions such as, yeah, we're going to cover all those questions, and hopefully you come with other questions and ask us, and we're more than happy to answer. I'll be presenting this with Dave Bayer. He was one of the principal architects of the language, so it'd be good to pick his brain about Arcade as well. We're also going to talk about the use cases. So I talked about visualization. This visualization here was generated with Arcade, a predominance renderer. And also we're going to talk about labeling, how you can create label expressions with Arcade. But we're also going to cover the future use cases that we foresee, such as pop-ups and other cases. And we'd love to hear your feedback as well, and if you have ideas and how it could be applied in other aspects of the platform, we'd be interested to hear them. And we're also going to cover what functions come within Arcade. We're going to go over the syntax. We're going to get really deep in this session. So if you're interested in that, I really encourage you to go to it. This is the shorter session. This is a demo theater that will happen on Wednesday. So this is before that longer session. If you're not able to make it to the longer session, then definitely try to make it to this one. We're going to still cover a lot of the same samples, so you don't necessarily need to go to both. We cover the same content, but it's very condensed. We still answer those questions. Why is it called Arcade, and why did we develop it? Things of that nature. But we're going to go through examples on ArcGIS Online and also within the JavaScript API. So in this particular example, we set up 4 label expressions for each weather station point in this app. And one of these labels, the green one you see with the wind speed and direction, is generated with this longer Arcade expression to reclassify the compass direction of the wind and append the wind speed to it as well. So it's still a cool session, and I encourage you to attend that if you can't make the other one. Thursday morning, we're going to be talking about the geometry engine, me and Dave Bayer again. And I'm also really excited about the geometry engine because it seems like the possibilities of using it in apps are almost endless. They really make your JavaScript apps more interactive, more responsive, particularly with editing apps. So we're going to show you examples of various editing apps that Dave and I wrote about how you can test geometric relationships on the client. So that's what the geometry engine is all about. It's a client-side engine for testing geometric relationships between features. And so we're gonna show a lot of examples, drawing samples. We're going to show how you can ensure that users don't self-intersect lines or submit bad polygons when they edit. We're also going to talk about overlay examples such as this one that you see in the image, and also just simpler examples that you might find useful. And I'm going to show a newer app that I wrote that demonstrates how you can use it within the renderer for a visualization.
That's going to be a good session.
Thanks, Jeremy. And so Jeremy and myself will be presenting on smart mapping as well. This is a short demo theater. The smart mapping tools are already accessible to everyone in ArcGIS Online, and I'm venture to guess that many of you have probably already used them. If you use ArcGIS Online, it's getting more and more popular. But we're going to get a little deeper. We're going to show you how we've exposed the API and how you can build custom apps using smart mapping. And we're going to talk about the scenarios in which it might make sense to use smart mapping and why you may not want to use these tools in your apps.
Yep. You know, Kristian, Esri doesn't pay by the session.
I did not get that memo.
Didn't get that memo, okay.
And I'm done.
Hello, Matt Driscoll. I'm here with
JC Franco.
And this session, we're going to go A to Z on how to build a widget in our JavaScript API. So we're going to talk about the widget framework and how it's set up. We're going to go a little bit into TypeScript. And then we're going to go into all the life cycles and how you guys can actually create a widget. And then we'll go through an actual sample widget that we'll build together.
And I believe we also tackle some styling best practices using SAS. Yep. And there's also a small cameo appearance by Kristian in that demo. So, FYI.
Yeah, this will be a good one.
These two are the lead widget developers for the API, so this is definitely a session to go to if you're into widget development.
Yep. And then the next session we have on here, we'll go a little bit deeper into how you guys can really get into widget development. This one, we're going to go more into TypeScript and how you can use that with our widgets. We're going to go through a lot more best practices, tips, development, IDEs, and stuff like that to kind of help you guys build widgets.
And we also go a little bit deeper into how the widget framework works and some neat tips and tricks you could use when you're developing widgets our way.
Yep.
Cool. That's it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Yann, and I will be
Rene.
Rene. So we'll do this session this afternoon and Friday about the API 4x fundamentals and some of the programming pattern that you will encounter when dealing with when you will develop with the API. It's kind of the session we did last year about the Discover 4. So we're gonna go over like what is a map, what is a view. It's not 2D or 3D specific. What the different types of layers, and then how you deal with watching properties, setting, getting properties, the promises, like when a layer loads and so on. Yeah.
So this one here is going to be a demo theater, building classes using Accessor and the JavaScript API. So we're going to go over some of the details of the Accessor, how it's used in the API, and then how you can use it to inside your own applications. And we're going to cover some, you can use it in JavaScript, using in Typescript, using some of the decorator helpers that we have to build out your applications. Pretty neat. This is going to be a cool one. We're going to have some really nice samples, I think, going into this one. It's really great stuff to get some fundamentals of the API in there.
Right.
Cool. All right, so this one is Wednesday. We're going to be talking about using frameworks with the JavaScript API. So we're going to cover a lot of stuff in this one. It's going to be covering all of the major frameworks like Angular, Ember, React. Also going to dive in on some Vue.js as well as Elm, which is pretty neat, probably one of my favorites right now. But this is going to be really useful if you are interested in using a framework to help you build your applications and work with the JavaScript API, or if you have current applications built with a framework already and you just want to integrate the JavaScript API somehow to maybe get your maps in there, some basic tools. This is probably a session you want to see. We're going to go over a lot of code, a lot of details on how to load the API and to get things done. Oops. All right. So, you want to cover this one?
No, you can talk on your part, and I'll talk on my part. So I'll be in this session with Rene. We're going to talk about the ArcGIS API for JavaScript Web Optimizer, which allows you to take the modules that are being used in your application and bundle those into a single built layer file to optimize the load time and the number of HTTP requests that it takes for the load time of your app. We'll also talk a little bit about some other optimization techniques and show you some tools that we've put together that will help you diagnose and build a module list from what your application's actually doing and the network waterfall that you can capture from the dev tools. So it'll be some pretty neat tools, and then Rene's going to make your ears bleed with some deep dive build stuff.
Yeah, so we're going to go pretty deep into the Dojo build tools. So if you want to use the Bower repo to build an optimized application, we're going to go into details on how you can do that. We're also going to cover some more details about using some other tools out there where it's not really building the API, but it's kind of taking advantage of the web optimizer, as well as some lighter build tools like Webpack, Rollup to kind of get the best of both worlds. All right, and then there's a Friday morning for all the brave souls that come out. We got using TypeScript with the JavaScript API. So we're talking a lot about the basics of using TypeScript API, how you can use our typings, set up an application, do the configuration to compile. We'll go over a demo application and how all that's built. There'll be a lot in there, as well as kind of lightly cover some of the widget development stuff you'll hear about earlier in the week, how you might integrate that into your application itself.
I think that's at 8:30 on a Friday.
8:30 on a Friday.
So everybody at the Thursday night party needs to give Rene lots of beer, and then let's really test him out.
Please. Okay.
All right, so this session is on. It's tomorrow. I will be doing this one with Joe, who is the lead dev on the 3D part of the API. We're gonna go over like some of the APIs we are currently designing and implementing for 4.4 to create custom layers. So we're gonna show off like some of the capabilities that we can currently do, like for example in 2D. I have an example to create fetch a tile and then recolorizing it in green. Another one is consuming some WMS. Since we still don't have the WMS layer completely done in the API, how you can connect to a different service can be WMS or something else. And then after, we're going to play a little bit with elevation. The screenshot here on the right is Joe will be making like some sinusoidal wave and to create some wobbly globe. And then the big one here in the middle will be how you can override the fetch tile function of the elevation layer to apply an exaggeration. Like if you want to multiply all the exaggeration by 10,000 or something, maybe not to 10,000, but 2 or 3. And then on the 2D side, I will process the lurk elevation, also the elevation data to colorize it. And then another example using creating contour lines in the web browser, and then using the web workers and everything to do that. So it's going to be fun, I guess. And then this afternoon, I will be doing with Julie and Lloyd the what's new in the JavaScript API. And then, so we're going to cover what happened this year in the different areas of the API, like the latest 320, 319 release, and then also like in 2D and 3D in the 4X API.
Yeah. Be more of like a capabilities overview of
Yeah.
what we've done.
Yep. All right.
Jeremy? So does anyone recognize what this picture is? It's Mars. It's the road ahead. Just kidding.
Is it really Mars?
Yeah, it's really Mars.
Oh, well, Julie was really pushing the team to do geodesic measurement on Mars, so I think that's appropriate. So this session will be on Friday, and we'll talk road ahead, mostly just to lay out and be open with you about our plan moving forward. When we see things coming out, you know, we're working rapidly to try to get 4 up to full compatibility with 3 on the 2D side, and we want to lay clearly out the, sort of the roadmap for 3D. So come to this session, and hopefully we'll guide you in the right direction. Anything else?
No, just our release strategy, I guess, for the year.
Mm-hmm. And some highlighting some things in our strategy for performance on 2D and so forth moving forward, and we'll go from there.
Okay, I wanted to give you guys enough time for questions, but a couple of things that I thought would be helpful for you to know about is we published this blog, which kind of overviews the different kind of main topic areas that we covered today. At the bottom of the blog, I put together like an easy thing that you can look through for all the web sessions categorized by like if it's in kind of covering the basics of the API, 3D development, there's a UI section. Anyway, it kind of makes it easy to kind of look through all those important web sessions. And then, as Jeremy mentioned in the beginning, we worked really hard with events like Jim Barry and other events people to make sure that some of these sessions that really build on each other aren't scheduled on top of each other. With 55 sessions, it's impossible to not have 2 at the same time. But the ones that are really kind of building on each other or really complementary, we tried to schedule them, apart from each other. So this is kind of, this is an exhaustive list of what you might want to see when you're getting started. The couple I wanted to definitely highlight is the programming patterns and fundamentals. If you're experienced with the 3X API and you want to get started with 4X, or if you're just brand new to the API altogether, I think that one's a real critical session to kind of get the general overview of developing with the API. There's a lot more sessions, as I mentioned, not on here, but all of these sessions, at least listed, don't conflict with each other that you could consider. I don't know if you want to mention it. Okay. Another kind of area, if you guys want to learn about building your UI, I recommend all of the ones on this list. These are all building on each other. So the first one's kind of the overview, building your UI with the API, and then kind of going into the more specific areas. So customizing widgets. So the way that the teams design the widgets is you can kind of use them out of box. You can just style them, you can customize them, or you can write your own widget. So each one of these sessions kind of dives a little deeper into the kind of deeper levels of customization with widgets and building your own. So all of these would be really good to attend if you can. And then these are the more kind of advanced Forex deeper dive sessions, all covering different aspects of Forex. Yeah, everyone covered these, so we don't need to go through that again. And then 3D specific sessions, we've got a whole bunch. One thing that we did new this year, you might have picked up on a couple different talks, is we have a collection of sessions that are about a holistic approach of authoring your data, preparing it, publishing it, then consuming it in your app. So we have that for 3D objects, vector tiles, elevation, integrated mesh point cloud. So it's kind of like all different platform-wide data types that you want to work with, prepare it, and then use it in your apps. And so there's several different sessions or that kind of approach. And then we also have the practical guides. There's one for 2D and 3D. And that's really kind of, as Kelly and Heather mentioned, the step-by-step building a bigger app. We've gotten a lot of feedback that people want to go beyond the simple sample. I want to see how you build out a full app. So that's what those sessions are kind of tackling. So
let me, before you go into that, Julie, you let us know about, after you go through the entire week, let us know about what you thought of this session, because we've never done this before. And, oh, sorry, I jumped the gun.
No, go ahead.
Okay. We've never done this session before, so we want to know that if it's useful. If it's not useful, then we'll just use this session to dive right in on the content. But go through the week, see if this worked out for you, and then provide the feedback back to us so that we can use that for next year.
Yeah, and that's the truth for all sessions. Honestly, we read everything that you write. All your comments for all the different sessions, we read it and we take into account, and we do our best to improve for the next year. So yeah, please fill out surveys. Now we open up for questions. So you guys can ask anything about the week, any particular session. If you need help planning something, anything at all, you guys can ask us.
I think just yell it out if you've got something. Over here?
If you just search for the blog post, is that what you're asking about? If you search for ArcGIS blog, Developer Summit 2017, it's the first hit. Oh.
Go back 2 slides.
Go back to this one? Oh, he's going to ask about this one? Okay, let me do the other thing for it. What? Sorry, I'm not sure. Okay, I'm moving on.